Alrighty, welcome to Barbershop.Talk podcast. Now, this is the podcast where our topics are determined by the conversation that occurred in the barbershop on Saturday. That's right. My name is J. Rod, and I'm here in Out the Way Studio in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we'd like to thank you. Thank you for voting us one of the most entertaining podcasts in the city of Indianapolis. But I must say, I am not in the studio alone. I'm here with my co-host, and that is KC.
Thank you, J. Rod. It's a pleasure to co-host Barbershop.Talk podcast here in Out the Way Studios. And like J. Rod said, if it comes up on Saturday, it goes down on this podcast. Now, in the beginning was the word, and it was spread by the Yardbirds, and it touched all those who had heard from the inner city to the suburbs. And that word is tool. Totally frustrated after losing all clout, he cursed Netanyahu out. You got me in a war I can't get out. The world is looking at me like I'm a total fool, and it's all because of you, you Nazi tool.
Okay, all right. Now you cracked me up again, Casey. What do you call him, a Nazi fool?
Tool.
Tool. I think you get more creative every week, Casey. Every week. You know, but that's okay. You know, I'm going to do something different this week, Casey.
Mm-hmm.
We are actually going to do our podcast live. Now, you know, we used to do that back in the day.
Yeah.
We did everything live. The funny thing about it is we always made a lot of errors, but we did not mind at all. It was just super, super fun.
Right.
So we're going to try that again, Casey.
And of course. Yeah, they want the real.
Now, before I get started, I'm going to say I do know that you could not go to the trip, and I was sorry to say we had a fantastic. Do you remember that the family that we did the family reunion? We emceed their family reunion.
Yes, yes.
It was the Murph family reunion.
Right.
Well, they invited Barbershop.Talk to their yearly fishing trip.
Right.
And unfortunately, you couldn't go.
Right. I had prior commitments.
But I was there.
Yeah.
Casey, you talking about catching a lot of fish. Check this out, Casey. That's a lot of fish.
So let me ask you something, J. Rod.
Go ahead and ask, Casey.
Is that how the local fish markets sell their fish?
we caught all that fish. And I'm telling you, it was fun. We had a ball. I got to say, this is a fantastic family, and I am happy that they invite us to their event. I can't say enough about those gentlemen.
Can you put that picture back up there? That was a lot of fish, J. Rod.
Well, it was a lot of fish, but since we're doing this live, and I took it down, yes, you know. That's a lot of fish. Casey, I think that they caught, or I should say we caught, because I did. I'm not a fisherman, but I caught some fish.
Yeah.
It had to be around 60 fish.
60 fish?
Yeah. We went out in the AM and in the PM. And apparently, it was on the border of Wisconsin and Illinois.
Oh, okay.
So in the morning, we fished.
It was on Lake Michigan.
You're absolutely right, Lake Michigan. Absolutely.
So was it one of those charter companies that take you out?
You're absolutely right.
And they provide the poles and everything?
And they had what they call a skipper. Or a captain.
Skipper?
I don't know.
Our voyage ship got a skipper. You know what happened last time.
Okay. All right. Captain. They had a captain. And they had another guy, another first mate or crewman, whatever.
Yeah.
That was working the poles. But it was a lot of fun.
Okay. So they took y'all to a spot that they knew and y'all was catching fish.
Yeah. In fact, it was a different type of fishing because last year when I went fishing, you know, you cast out.
Mm-hmm.
This time, it's like the poles, they cast them out, and then the boat move about 2 or 3 miles per hour with the poles out there. And then when the fish get on the pole, you reel them in.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that.
Yeah, I think if I ain't mistaken, they have like divers that take these frozen fish and put them on your hooks, and then you just bring them on in.
That was a different boat. That was a different boat. But anyway, I do have to say, Casey got jokes today. But speaking of joke, Casey, this is National Joke Day.
It is. It is.
Indeed, it's National Joke Day. So
I'm in the spirit.
Now, if you haven't told your favorite joke to your family members or your loved ones, Make sure you do that before you go to bed at night. Now, we have a few.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are what our clients, our listeners sent in.
Yeah. Lou, you ain't gonna believe this, but I done fucked up again, buddy.
What the hell y'all gone and done now?
Well, it was the wife's birthday yesterday.
What did you get her?
I didn't get her shit, Lou. She didn't use what I got her last year.
What did you get her last year, dumbass?
A cemetery plot. Lou, I went to the strip club last night. One of the dancers told me she was doing this to feed her kids.
That's really terrible. I hope you helped her ass out.
Well, she really got pissed at me and didn't understand why.
I can only imagine with you. Go ahead, I know you're gonna tell me.
She cussed me out when I put 7 cans of green beans on the stage.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, Casey, that was funny.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was funny.
I'm just thinking, though, who walks in with 7 cans of green beans at the strip club?
Well, that's good. Well, at least he brought his sausage. we got a lot of jokes. Matter of fact, we got jokes all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So so in my case, I was thinking. I think we should say our favorite jokes from when we was growing up. Now, before we get started, I want you to know I do not remember a lot of jokes, but I'm talking about jokes when we was in grade school. That goes way back.
So you way back.
Oh, he got jokes. He got jokes. All right. So are you ready for your first joke, Casey?
Yeah, I think I remember one.
All right, let's see if we can get this thing going here. All right, I'm going to just have you go at it. Have at it. Tell your joke.
Okay. So this young black couple took their young son to his very first circus.
Okay.
And as luck would have it, their seats was right by the elephant's pen. Well, once they get seated, the father says, "Hey, anybody want popcorn?" And it's like, yeah. So he gets up and he goes get popcorn. And while he's gone, the little boy asks his mother, he goes, "Mom, what's that long thing on the elephant?" "Oh, that's the elephant's trunk, son." "No, Mom, the other end. "Oh, that's his tail." "I know what a tail is, Mom. Underneath. She goes, rather embarrassed. That's nothing. Well, the father comes back with the popcorn, and shortly thereafter, the mother says, "Hey, anybody thirsty?" And they're like, "Yeah." So she goes to get some drinks, and the little boy starts in again. "Hey, Dad, what's that long thing on the elephant?" "Oh, that's the elephant's trunk, son." "No, Dad, the other end." "Oh, that's his tail." "I know what a tail is, Dad. Underneath. The father looks real serious at his son and he goes, "Son, that's the elephant's penis." And the boy pondered for a couple of seconds and then he goes, "Hey, Dad, how come when I asked Mom what that was, she said that was nothing?" The father starts beaming real proud and he goes, "I spoiled that woman." Oh, come on, Jay.
Hold on, wait just a second.
I forgot. You got to slow down for Jay Rod. He can't handle all that. That was too far to go for him to follow.
Oh my goodness, that was the joke.
Yeah. The audience got it.
Oh man, that was
Tomorrow, Jay Rod's gonna be like, "Oh, I get it."
Well, I don't know. Okay, see, but we did say jokes from elementary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was a long, drawn out joke. All right, okay, here. I want to tell you my favorite joke when I was in the 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
It was 5th grade. All right. I'm going to say that again. I was in the 5th grade.
You said it 3 times like you was in the 5th grade 3 times.
All right, here's a joke. I'm telling you a joke. All right, it was this king, and this king was in the kingdom. And so his daughter was getting an age to get married. So he has to find out who's in his kingdom he's going to have marry his daughter. So he called out to the men, and 3 people showed up. It was 3 guys, and he said, "I want to marry your daughter."
Mm-hmm.
And the king said, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. Whichever one of you guys have the biggest balls, get to marry my daughter." So Knowing that, the men took off. They ran real fast, but they came back. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The first guy came back and said, King, I'm ready. King said, drop your pants. So he put on his pants, and the king said, that's not too bad. Size of baseballs. That's pretty doggone good. He said, but we're going to wait for the other two. The other man showed up. It was a couple of hours later. He came back. King said, drop your pants. And he dropped his pants. And King said, whoa, those are the size of basketball. You might be the winner. Stand over there. Then they waited about, it was about 6 hours. And the king said, where's the other guy? They said, he just arrived, King. The king said, well, let him in. He said, okay, roll him in, George. That's my joke. I am in the 5th grade. I laugh every time I hear it, KC.
Yeah, okay.
That was
funny. It was something. All I know is that king was a little perverted.
Okay.
I think he was more interested in the men than his daughter.
All right, we're going to continue on with our jokes because it is a National Joke Day. So saying that, we're going to find out what our next joke is. Here you go.
Hello?
Hey, bud, I'm going to need some time off. My ex-wife passed last night. Oh, no, Mr. Smith. I'm real sorry to hear that. How much time you going to need?
About 15 years with good behavior.
But I'm here to tell you, Casey.
Right.
You can't trust anybody out here. You have to do your own homework if you want to know the truth.
Right. I don't care what the source is. There's truth and lies in every source.
Oh, I like that, Casey. Truth and lies in every source. Now, wait a minute. Now, one of my clients, he was avid about school.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He said school was important. That's where they get to their foundation. And most of the things that they teach in schools on the up and up. What is your theory on that, Casey?
They do present a lot of truth and a lot of facts, but they also present a lot of distortions and outright lies. I'll give you an example of one.
Okay.
I remember I was in 4th grade, and we was studying history.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to the time period of American history where, you know, they had slaves and stuff, right?
Yep.
And in this school book, textbook, it had the audacity to say that the slaves like being slaves. Well, if it's so much fun, why don't y'all try?
Oh, that's another
I
joke.
knew that was a lie.
That's another joke on National Joke Day, Casey. That was pretty good.
No, that was for real though. That was really in the textbook.
I understand.
Yeah.
See, the thing is I think a lot of things, even in the classroom, should be challenged.
Yes.
You know, I had a conversation one time in the barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
They said, well, you can't challenge everything. No, you can't, but you pick and choose. And a lot of times that people grow mentally is by having discussion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it doesn't matter if you have 30 lessons of discussion or 10 lessons of discussion. It's learning as long as the class is learning something from those discussions.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible. Now, I'm going to show you some cases, things that's taught in school
Mm-hmm.
that was wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to tell you things that are taught in school that now is wrong. And this is just proving my point.
All right.
Right? That don't trust anything. You know, before I show this video, you know something I wish, Casey?
What's that?
I wish there was a 13-year-old, 14-year-old boy or girl that says this information in this history book is not correct
Mm-hmm.
and file a lawsuit against the school.
You think they'll make some money?
Well, it's not. They could.
Because I'll file that lawsuit.
It's not about making money. It's about the truth. All right, here we go, Casey. All right.
To be wrong. Number 1. Columbus discovered America. He never set foot on North American soil. He landed in the Bahamas, visited Cuba and Hispaniola, and died believing he had found Asia. Leif Erikson reached North America 500 years before Columbus. Indigenous people had been there for tens of thousands of years before either. Number 2. The Pilgrims came for religious freedom. They came for the freedom to practice their specific religion and impose it on others. The Massachusetts Bay Colony hanged Quakers for practicing a different form of Christianity. The religious freedom they sought was not the kind they were willing to extend. Number 3. George Washington had wooden teeth. His dentures were made from hippopotamus ivory, human teeth purchased from enslaved people, and his own extracted teeth. No wood. The wooden teeth story was invented to make the image less disturbing than the truth. Number 4. The Great Wall of China is visible from space. NASA confirmed it is not. The wall is wide enough to drive a car on, but not wide enough to see from low Earth orbit. Astronauts have been asked repeatedly. None have seen it. The myth predates space travel by centuries. Number 5. Einstein failed mathematics in school. He did not. He mastered calculus by 15. The myth originated from a mistranslation of a Swiss grading system where 6 was the highest mark and 1 was the lowest, the opposite of American grading. His 6s were excellent. Someone reversed them and the story spread for a century. Number 6. You only use 10% of your brain. Brain imaging technology shows activity throughout the entire brain continuously. The myth likely originated from misquoted self-help literature. You use all of your brain. Different regions activate for different tasks. No significant portion sits dormant. Before I say the last one, make sure to hit that follow button to support the channel. Number 7. Students were taught that Pluto is the 9th planet for 76 years from 1930 to 2006. An entire generation learned it, defended it, included it on science projects, and were told in 2006 that it no longer qualified. The International Astronomical Union reclassified it with 11 days' notice. 76 years of textbooks became wrong simultaneously. Things American schools taught that turned out to be wrong.
See, I want to tell you something, Casey. A lot of that stuff, I was believing.
Yes.
One of them got me pissed off.
What was that?
Man, let me tell you, I'm still pissed off about it.
Mm-hmm.
See, Pluto is not a moon. I'm telling you, Casey, it's a planet.
I can't remember the exact details, but it had something to do with its orbit, and it's a dwarf planet because it's being pulled by another. I forget the exact details.
Well, they try to
It's no
say,
longer it's a planet.
first of all, it's a planet. Quit saying that.
Well, they said it wasn't now.
You just seen they can't be trusted. But anyway, they say that Pluto now is a moon of Jupiter. One of the moons of Jupiter.
Moon of Jupiter?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying.
That doesn't make sense.
But that's what I'm saying, Casey.
No, I don't know if that's what I heard. But but whatever I heard is no longer classified as a planet.
You know, I should pull up AI because now they say it's a moon to Jupiter. But I'm going to go beyond that, Casey, because here's another one they had me believing.
Yeah.
That you only use 10% of your brain.
I've known some people like that.
Understandably. But they had me fooled, Casey. I was looking at that for a very long time. See, that is what I'm talking about. Yeah, I need a 6th or 7th grader to file suit against the school.
I'm gonna tell you what got me messed up.
What's got me messed up?
They talking about, they taught us George Washington had wooden teeth.
Yes.
Right? And that they got eaten out by termites. And now, apparently, something different.
Hold it.
Uh-huh.
I never heard the termite story.
What?
No, for real.
Yeah. Apparently, he was just eating bugs.
I never heard the termite story. Somehow I think he's making that up. I think that when it comes to information, I think we should teach our audience or continue to preach to our audience, educate yourself.
Right.
Take this philosophy. Just try this, Casey. Just from I don't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're right.
Trust, then verify.
Yeah.
If you want to take somebody's word for something, say, okay, I'm going to trust you for now, but then continue to verify and check it out.
Exactly. And don't just rely on one source. If you hear something from one place, yeah, try to confirm that or corroborate that from other sources. But there's truth in social media just as there's lies in social media. That's no different than Fox News, right?
Well, that's the biggest social media around, if you ask me.
There's some truth in Fox media,
Some,
and a whole lot of lies.
True.
Right? So and really any medium stream, because even in schools or lectures or classwork or whatever, because in most situations a person has a particular narrative or objective, and so they're going to push that element of truth to the left or to the right or up or down or whatever to fit their particular narrative or objective.
Yeah, that's very true. And we're not picking on social media, right?
No.
That just seems to be the topic. But you are right. See, a lot of people slant things to their belief, right? And when they have conversations, and if they say something that they're opposed, oh, I don't agree with that. And the thing that you should ask is, why and where are you getting your information?
Yes.
Because if they can't articulate that, it's an emotion.
Or if they only get their information from one particular source and that's it, you know, one video or one book or one lecturer or one person, then they might not be getting a full spectrum of that topic.
I agree. And you know, and you may have to challenge yourself, because this is not the way that we was brought up to learn or to believe. I believe that our society in school was designed where we have somebody with authority in front of us, such as a teacher. The teachers tell us something and we just accept it as truth without challenging.
We were the sheep and they were the shepherds, and they were you know, and I'm not going to say they weren't preparing us for society, but they was also preparing us to follow a certain order.
Okay. And you called that the sheep and the shepherd?
Yes.
That's pretty good, Casey. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and continue on with some of the things that our listeners have sent in to us.
If your trust in institutions feels slightly wobbly right now, that's not paranoia.
That's pattern recognition. Number 5. The Ford Pinto Fire Memo. Here's a fun thought experiment. Imagine your company discovers that a design flaw in your product will cause it to catch fire and kill people. Now imagine that instead of fixing it, someone runs the numbers, figures out that paying out wrongful death lawsuits would be cheaper than a recall, and files that calculation away as official policy. That's not a hypothetical. That's the Ford Pinto. In the 1970s, Ford released the Pinto, a compact car with a fuel tank positioned in a way that made it catastrophically prone to rupturing and igniting in rear-end collisions. Internal documents, which became public during litigation, showed that Ford engineers had identified the defect before the car launched. An internal cost-benefit analysis, now known as the Pinto Memo, weighed the cost of fixing the flaw against the projected cost of settling death and injury lawsuits. Fixing it lost. The car went to market. People burned. Ford eventually issued a recall after enough deaths triggered regulatory pressure, but by then the document was already in court and in newspapers. The conspiracy theory that corporations will knowingly let customers die if the math works out in their favor turned out to be a literal memo with actual math in it. Capitalism didn't invent conscience. Apparently, it just runs it through a cost-benefit model first. Number 4. The Gulf of Tonkin incident was fabricated. The Vietnam War escalated because of an attack that almost certainly never happened. On August 4th, in historical style, 1964, the U.S. government reported that North Vietnamese torpedo boats had attacked American destroyers in the Gulf of Tonkin for the second time in 2 days. Congress responded by passing the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, which gave President Johnson virtually unlimited authority to escalate military involvement in Vietnam. 500,000 troops, 58,000 American deaths, millions of Vietnamese casualties, all downstream from one incident that the Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara later admitted was probably a radar malfunction and nervous sailors firing at shadows in the dark. Declassified NSA documents released in 2005 confirmed that analysts had manipulated intelligence reports to make the Phantom attack appear real. The first incident on August 2nd likely did happen. The second one, the one that actually triggered the resolution, almost certainly didn't. Johnson himself reportedly told an aide shortly after, with characteristic Texan bluntness, that those sailors had probably been shooting at flying fish. He knew. He escalated anyway. A generation of young men were drafted into a war that was politically justified using an event that was, at minimum, wildly misrepresented, and, at maximum, completely invented. Your government didn't just spin the story. They fed it into a wood chipper and handed Congress the confetti. Number 3. COINTELPRO and sabotaging civil rights leaders. The FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover, ran a covert counterintelligence program from 1956 to 1971 called COINTELPRO, and its explicit goal was to infiltrate, discredit, and destroy political organizations the government considered threatening. That included the Communist Party, yes, but also the NAACP, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Black Panther Party, and individual figures like Martin Luther King Jr. The program sent King an anonymous letter after bugging his hotel rooms, compiled a dossier of his personal life, and explicitly encouraged him to commit suicide before his Nobel Peace Prize acceptance. That sentence is real. It is in declassified documents. The FBI, the nation's premier law enforcement agency, attempted psychological warfare against a Baptist minister who was receiving a peace prize. Activists were framed for crimes. Leaders were fed to rival groups to provoke violence. Informants were planted to manufacture internal distrust. The program was only exposed when a group of activists broke into an FBI office in Pennsylvania in 1971 and mailed the stolen documents to journalists. The government tried to suppress publication. Some papers ran it anyway. COINTELPRO wasn't a fringe allegation floated by people in tinfoil hats. It was a systematic, taxpayer-funded campaign to eliminate political dissent by any means available. The conspiracy wasn't theory. It was policy, with a budget and a filing system. Number 2. The sugar industry buried heart disease research. Your sweet tooth has been lied to at an institutional level. In the 1960s, the sugar industry was facing a scientific problem. Researchers were starting to connect sugar consumption to heart disease. This was bad for business, so the Sugar Research Foundation did what any reasonable, multi-billion-dollar industry does when science threatens profits. They paid scientists to redirect the blame. Specifically, they funded Harvard researchers to publish studies emphasizing dietary fat as the primary cause of heart disease, while minimizing sugar's role entirely. The researchers were paid the equivalent of roughly $50,000 in today's money. The funding was never disclosed. The studies were published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1967 and shaped nutritional policy for decades. The low-fat dietary guidelines that dominated public health messaging from the 1970s onward, the ones that sent everyone scrambling to eat fat-free products loaded with sugar, were built partly on a foundation that the sugar industry had quietly purchased. Documents exposing this arrangement weren't uncovered until 2016, when researchers at UC San Francisco found them in archived industry records. By then, obesity rates had climbed for 50 years, and the low-fat gospel had already done its damage. The conspiracy theory that food companies manipulate nutrition science for profit wasn't paranoid speculation. It was a receipted transaction, literally, with names, dates, and dollar amounts attached. Number 1. The tobacco playbook was copied by the oil industry. This one is almost impressive in how brazen it is. After Big Tobacco successfully spent decades manufacturing scientific doubt about the link between cigarettes and cancer, other industries watched, took notes, and ran the exact same play. Internal documents from ExxonMobil that emerged through investigative reporting and legal discovery revealed that the company's own scientists had concluded as early as the 1970s and 1980s that burning fossil fuels was warming the planet and would cause serious long-term climate disruption. Their research was sophisticated, accurate, and largely aligned with what independent climate scientists were publishing. Then, the company made a strategic decision to fund climate denial instead. They bankrolled think tanks, funded contrarian scientists, and ran advertising campaigns designed to convince the public that the science was unsettled, while their internal models were quietly predicting sea level rises and temperature increases with alarming precision. The strategy had a name borrowed almost directly from tobacco: manufacturing uncertainty. Make the public feel like experts disagree, even when they largely don't, and you buy yourself decades of regulatory inaction. A 2023 congressional investigation confirmed that major oil companies had continued funding climate disinformation efforts, even while publicly claiming to support climate action. The conspiracy wasn't that climate change was fake. The conspiracy was a coordinated, industry-funded campaign to make you think scientists weren't sure, while the industry's own scientists absolutely were. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them. Let's get right into it.
6. The U.S. deliberately
All
infected
right.
people with STDs.
All right. You know something, Casey?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back into, well, first of all, I want to say this about Barbershop.Talk. Now, this podcast is about entertaining or having entertainment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's anything on here that pique your interest, go ahead and do some investigation, right? Again, we put things out here to get you to start thinking, but we don't make your decisions for you.
Right.
So anything that you see on here that pique your interest or don't quite sound right, go ahead and investigate it. So a lot of this stuff is our opinion. Now, here is something that I think should trigger when you start questioning things. Because I think in the video was absolute, Casey, is where it's a lot of times I hear government saying, especially around global warming, well, the scientists don't agree. You know, they put doubt. Now, from looking at this, anytime that I see the scientists don't agree, the first thing I'm going to find out is who financed your research.
Yes.
Because that would tell you a lot. Now, in here, they were talking about how the sugar industry was financing something. So that should be a clue for our listeners to start go, let me check that out further.
Yeah, it's really a standard American playbook. If you watch a lot of big court cases regarding whatever, all right, and they have experts, you have experts that says this, and this with certainty.
Right.
And then the other side brings in experts that says the exact opposite. And they all study the same stuff, have the same level of knowledge. But it's about who's putting the money in their pocket.
Right.
You know,
I agree. I tell you another thing, we start investigating. And we should do it now. Because if you don't know your history, it's going to repeat itself. And that's what's happening. So a lot of our listeners know we ain't over in Iran because the potential of nuclear.
No.
No, because remember, we were supposed to blow that up a long time ago. And they said,
well, last year, Trump said he obliterated
that was his term.
all of their nuclear capability. But then suddenly, out of the blue, you know, and less than a year later, we're at war with them because they have a stockpile of nuclear material.
Yeah, I tell you what they got a stockpile of, Casey. That's oil.
Yes.
But that's why we going over there. You know, I'm going to answer, don't let them fool you again. Do you remember those weapons of mass destruction that they never found? And on top of that, Trump made up a term now that people using. Nuclear dust.
Oh, people should be dropping like flies, shouldn't they?
Again, when things not making sense, when they start making up terminology, you better start doing your own investigation.
Yes.
So, with that being said, KC, we got to have our Black History moment.
Yeah.
And this one may be eye-opener.
Wait. The Black Supreme Court justice who benefited from affirmative action just destroyed affirmative action for everyone else. Let me tell you about the most hated black man in America. Clarence Thomas literally got into Yale Law School through affirmative action programs designed to help black students. He was nominated to the Supreme Court in 1991 to replace Thurgood Marshall, the first black justice, partly because he was black. But here's where it gets wild. In 2023, Thomas wrote a 58-page opinion calling affirmative action plainly and boldly unconstitutional, and voted to end race-conscious college admissions nationwide. The same program that got him into Yale? He called it racial tinkering and a violation of a colorblind constitution. But let's talk about what he didn't say. Caucasians already had a built-in affirmative action since 1776. The 1790 Naturalization Act gave citizenship only to free white persons, meaning only whites could vote, own property, or hold office. The 1862 Homestead Act gave away 270 million acres of land for free, almost exclusively to white families. The GI Bill and FHA home loans after World War II, they generated massive wealth for white families while systematically excluding black veterans and homebuyers. That's 250 years of government-sponsored affirmative action for white people. But Thomas doesn't talk about that. Instead, he's been trying to gut the Voting Rights Act for 3 decades, the law that protects black and brown voters from discrimination. In 2026, he wrote that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is unconstitutional. He even criticized Brown versus Board of Education, the 1954 ruling that ended school segregation. And while he's voting against civil rights for black people, he's been taking millions in secret luxury gifts from GOP billionaire donors, private jet trips, yacht vacations, all unreported. The man climbed the ladder of affirmative action, then pulled it up behind him and set it on fire. So tell me, does Clarence Thomas deserve to be called a traitor to black people? Comment yes or no. And if this made you angry, subscribe because we're exposing all the receipts they...
All right. Hey, you know something, Casey?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure that people realize that we're not trying to make anybody angry.
No.
Because remember, they did yank us off of YouTube for a while.
They did twice.
Yeah, they did. You know, but we not trying to make anybody angry. But the thing is that we did put out there some facts.
Right.
You know, so you control your own emotion, what you do, but normally when you incite violence because you're putting out false information, and the information they put about Clarence Thomas was absolutely correct.
Yes. Sell out.
All right, so that's funny.
Hey, we just want to remind you here on Barbershop.Talk, if you like our content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe.
All right, now we're very serious about that, so we are trying to get our numbers up. Again, we're thankful that you vote us for one of the most entertaining podcasts in the city of Indianapolis, but we're looking for more.
Yes.
But we can't get more without you.
We want the limit, and that's the sky. Help us out.
You crack me up, Casey. You are a funny man.
I want to thank you for listening to Barbershop.Talk podcast. Please tell your family, friends, and enemies about our podcast, Barbershop.Talk, available on your favorite podcast platforms. Let's have peace in the streets. Be safe, be wise, and be loved. And we say, go mob.
Bad bitches, money count on, cash on me.